So this story is great because it has a little bit of everything. We're talking witches, curses, demons, and aliens. It's now become one of the most researched paranormal areas in the whole entire world. This is the story of Skinwalker's Ranch. Skinwalker Ranch is a property located on about 500 acres southeast of Ballard, Utah. And the paranormal history of this land actually dates all the way back to the 1800s, where there were two Native American tribes, the Navajo and the Utes, that had a feud in the area. The Utes were capturing other Native American tribes and they were selling them off as slaves to Americans. And the Navajo were residing on the now called Skinwalker Ranch, and they were forced off the land in order to escape capture and slavery by the Utes. And this is where it all started. So legend has it that there was a shaman in the Navajo tribe that cursed the land to torment the Utes for forcing them out. And this curse was called the Skinwalker's Curse. This curse would bring down witches to the land that mastered the ability to change into different creatures. So basically shapeshifters. So many years later, this land was turned into a ranch, and reports started coming in from the property owners who started seeing strange behavior from these beast-like animals. So the land was first homesteaded by the Myers family in 1905, and they lived on the land until 1987. But they reported no strange sightings, although some neighbors did. The neighboring ranchers were finding their cattle mutilated with a surgeon-like precision that would have ruled out a coyote or a wolf. So this is where it gets even weirder. The Skinwalker Ranch is located on the Utah Basin, and in the 1950s, there were so many UFO sightings that this area got the nickname UFO Alley. And by the 1970s, the state troopers of Utah were getting so many UFO calls that they just stopped filling out incident reports. There was a researcher in the valley that was quoted saying, "You can't throw a rock in southern Utah without hitting someone that's been abducted." So after the Myers family left the property in 1987, it stood empty for 7 years until it was purchased by Terry and Gwen Sherman in 1994, who moved in with their 2 children and their livestock. So they were surprised to find out that when they moved into the house, the previous owner had installed deadbolts on all windows and doors, including the ones inside the house, and had 2 iron stakes at the front and the back of the property with heavy-duty chains that the Shermans assumed were for large guard dogs. And the same day that they took possession of the house, Terry and the family noticed a large wolf in their pasture that was making its way towards their livestock. Once the wolf got closer, Terry noticed the sheer size of this thing, saying that on all fours, this wolf could have been easily 6 feet tall. So Terry grabs his gun, he goes outside, and he shoots a round off into the sky to try and scare this wolf. But the wolf just keeps slowly walking towards the cattle. And before Terry gets the opportunity to take another shot, this wolf leaps at this cow and latches onto its face and tries to rip it outside of the fencing of the pen. He then takes a shot at this wolf at point blank range to protect his cattle, and it does absolutely nothing. So he takes another shot and the wolf released the cow, but it stands there and just looks at Terry calmly. So Terry takes a couple more shots and the wolf turns around and just slowly walks away. A few weeks later, Gwen Sherman was in her car and noticed a wolf that was so large that it paralleled the back of her car. She also said that the wolf was accompanied by a dog-like animal that she just couldn't identify. So the Shermans, like their neighbors, also saw strange lights and flying objects, including more than 12 in one evening. And on many of these occasions where they would see these UFOs, they say that they would wake up in the morning and they would find their cows either missing or mutilated. The final straw happened for the Shermans in May of 1996 when Terry was outside with his 3 dogs and he noticed a blue orb that was darting outside of his ranch house. So he decided to let his dogs go after it. So the dogs chased and barked after this orb as it followed it into some thick brush. Terry then heard 3 terrifying yelps that came from the bush. So then Terry was terrified himself. He decided not to go after the dogs at night. He went to bed, and when he woke up the next morning to go look for the dogs were gone, never to be seen again. After 2 years of these terrifying events, the Shermans then decided to publicly speak out. Terry was quoted saying, "For a long time, we wondered what we were seeing, if it was something to do with a top secret project." Billionaire businessman Robert Bigelow, who is a paranormal and UFO enthusiast, saw these articles and decided to give the Shermans an offer on their property. The Shermans jumped on the first opportunity to sell the property. Bigelow bought the land for $200,000 and made the Shermans sign a non-disclosure agreement stating that they would never speak about the happenings at the ranch ever again. Bigelow was the founder of the National Institute of Discovery and Science, the n.i.d.s. It was basically his own X-Files team. So the team set up a bunch of technical equipment, observational posts, and 24-hour surveillance, and they said that they saw the same strange, unexplainable lights that the Shermans saw, yet their equipment just mysteriously stopped working in these critical times. There were even cases of their electronic equipment being physically mangled and shredded with their wires ripped out. I don't know. In 2007, the n.i.d.s was then teamed up with the Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program, the a.a.t.i.p, that was funded by the United States Defense Department to search for these UFOs on Skinwalker's Ranch. In the next few years, $22 million was spent on this program, which was run by military intelligence official Luis Elizondo, that was run from the Pentagon. This investigative program was funded by Nevada Democrat Harry Reid, the Senate leader and longtime friend of Robert Bigelow. Today, parts of the study remain classified, and the Department of Defense has never fully acknowledged the existence of this program. Interestingly though, it does admit that the program was shut down in 2012. So I don't know about you, but having the Pentagon and the United States government funding so much money into these programs, it makes me believe that some of these stories have merit to them. So thank you for watching the video. If you do dig this kind of content, please consider subscribing to this channel and hitting the like button on this video. I am going to be uploading 2 new videos a week, so I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you.